It's the one only Despotic. Bring you guys another gameplay commentary. This is Ellis Girls Online. These are just a few clips that I've gotten on my journey to becoming a top tier Magic Sorc. Currently, I think from a scale of 1 to 10, I'm actually maybe a 4. I'm getting there, man. The pressure and just going seamlessly from defense to offense. It's not where I want it to be, but it's not far from where I think I can take it. So, and a lot of these clips are just, to me, I find them to be very, they're unique clips in some respects. But this commentary is not about the clips. It's more about this kind of misconception, right, of the way people see ESO. Now, if you were to look on YouTube and read the comment section and listen to what former players, and I just want to put an emphasis on former players who no longer play this game. However, they are still in the comment section, speaking as if this game is on its last leg. This game is in dire straits. It is quite possibly in the worst state any game can ever be in. If they're like like Chicken Little from Animal Farm, right? The sky is falling, and that's the perception that a lot of players have who are from the outside looking in, and they have a very narrow-minded, a very myopic way of thinking about this game. They view the game from one standpoint, right? One aspect, and to me that's and some of them have delusions of grandeur, right? They believe they're elite players, and when in fact they're not. I don't think they can. They don't diversify. They play one style. And so when that one style, for example, you have a lot of players who go into Cyrodiil with dueling builds with the expectation to 1vx. You see these guys, like I said, running around in Cyrodiil on dueling builds with the expectation to 1vx, and when they can't do that, therein lies the issue. They now become one of those, right, that can't be diversified. They only know one style, and I've always wanted to make a commentary about what makes an elite or top tier player, and I think I know for a fact what makes you not elite and puts you at the bottom of the barrel, right, is the fact that you can't diversify. You cannot play a different style, right? It's always one way and that's it, and that's the issue I find in a lot of these players who have issues with this game. Hey, the whole concept of a 50k health tank negating your 30 or 40 or 50k in cap. I'm just giving an exaggerated example. I'm just choosing a Nightblade because if you think about damage, then Nightblades are the ones that you would think about when it comes to damage, right? You guys cancel each other out, but yet you will find that same Nightblade speaking as if their damage or his or her damage is not doing anything, and when in fact that's the point. That's the way it should be. You guys should cancel each other out. You have a damage build, he or she has a defensive build, and that's where it happens. And that's the problem. You have a lot of players who don't want to build for survivability. They don't want to build for sustain. They just solely want to build for damage. And you see it in a lot of their results. You see they're stressed for resources. They're they can't get past killing 2 people, right? They start to nitpick on the subtle things, the little things that don't really matter to players who enjoy this game. Like, for example, I deal with wizards all the time. I deal with health tanks all the time. I deal with healers all the time, and I deal with it on a level that's 10 times worse. And I wouldn't say worse because it's part of the game, and that's something we have to understand. The selling point for ESO is the fact that you can play any which way you want, however way you like, and still have the ability to enjoy yourself. And the moment we start to homogenize this game, and that's what ZeniMax has begun, like that's what they've started doing. And the moment we start to, put labels on particular playstyle, that's the moment this game is no longer for everyone. It's only for a group of players who want to be able to do something that they can't do. So if they can't do it, they must change it, or they must call attention to someone else who can do it and point out the reasons why they're doing it, and then they call that a carry. Keep in mind why players are like this. Keep in mind why you start to see the negativity in these players, and do they have some kind of is 100% of what they're saying incorrect? No, not at all. I would be an idiot if I were to say they don't have a point in some of the things they say. But is it to the effect of this game is a terrible game and it's on its last leg? No. Is it to the effect that you have an issue killing tanks, you have an issue killing healers, you have an issue killing every player in the game? Because that's what it is. If a lot of players don't understand this, if they're in a big group, all they have to do is build for survivability, and then the damage comes from the fact that they have strength in numbers. And a lot of players don't understand that. Like, I see all this shit as a challenge, right? When I see a tank that I can't kill, hey, I try to burst him. If it doesn't work, I keep it moving. I move on. Right? And any class I take a liking to, I'm Xing on. Look at my sword. I'm Xing on the sword. Right? And I'm not even at the level where I feel I'm not at a top tier level. I'm not even at medium tier. And I'm still out here Xing, still 1v-Xing. And that's the thing a lot of players don't understand. By myself. No one to hold my hands, no one to relieve any kind of pressure. No, just by myself. And that's the draw in this game that I like. I am playing against the way the game is set up to play, and I have to deal with the consequences of such things. And that means running into players who outnumber me 100% of the times. Not 100%, but let's say 99.9%. I understand that. I understand there has to be a give and take. I choose to be solo, then I have to deal with the consequences that come with that. And those consequences are, you're going to run into players who are set to counter you. You're going to run into players who outnumber you, and they have these sets that create make it very difficult for you to X them. But then I go back to the fact that I'm confident in my abilities. I'm confident in my skill, and I'm confident in the way I theory craft a build to push it to a certain level. I don't come into Cyrodiil with a dueling build because I know it's not effective. Like, what's the point of having damage when you have no survivability? What's the point of having damage when you have no sustain? Right? And that's the issue you see a lot of these players have. And I'll point out these dueling builds, right? The only class that can effectively 1vx on a dueling build would be a Nightblade, and that's because of the tools that it has in its kit. But if you look at these DKs running up and down Cyrodiil, undueling bills expecting to 1vx. You see these dual wield Stamplars wanting to 1vx on a dueling build, right? If you really want to, change it up, get a two-hander, get a bow, and work on that. You can get sustained from a Stam Sork. I just don't feel like playing the class to show that you can 1vx on a Stam Sork and really be effective, right? Another class, is and that's the reason why you see a lot of these players railing against Stam Warden. If you put a Stamina Warden up against any of the classes in a 1v1, it's not an advantage. It doesn't have the advantage. As a matter of fact, it's at a disadvantage because it has dizzying. Now, if you put the class in a 1vx scenario, it's a lot different. The class excels in that area, and that's why you hear these players saying, well, it's the class that's pay to win, and it's you can 1vx in it, and the class is set up to be well-rounded, right? And now if you want to X on a class, you have to now start thinking about diversity. You now have to start thinking about not only damage, but you have to think about survivability and sustain. And the moment you start to think that way, you start to view the game in a different light. You start to understand that your combos kill people, not damage. You start to realize that the longer the fight goes on, the more mistake a player will make, and then it allows you to capitalize. But players don't think that way. I need to have let me get a dueling build, and let me go into Cyrodiil, and let me try to 1vx and get destroyed by people, and then put on this this strange opinion of, well, it must be them, not me. No, it's your skill, right? This delusion of grandeur, right? Like these players who believe they're bigger than what they really are, right? I take this game for what it is, and all of the all the pressures off of me. Like, I can take an L and come back and fight. That's the wonderful thing about being able to give and take. Right, you might not win this battle, but you learn from it and you come back even stronger. There are a lot of players when I first started playing Sork, they were running through me. Can these players do it now? No, these players can't do it now. And so I keep those things in mind. This game, to me, is it in the perfect state? No. Is ZeniMax Online Studios putting it in a place where it still maintains the ability to play any which way you like? Yes. Is ZeniMax heading towards the homogenous, like everything is just homogenized, where every class is pretty much does the same thing? That too, they're heading in that direction. And if you listen to these players who think the game isn't on its last leg and it's terrible, and you have these players running around Cyrodiil and they shouldn't be able to do that, that's a problem. They want to change the dynamic of the game, the dynamics of the game to suit them. So if they can't 1vx the current the way the game is currently, then they have to change it. And I find that to be problematic, man. I don't think we should. Let's say for some reason, me and my build, where it's sustained, where it's survivability is sustained, then damage. All of a sudden, that's no longer the case like it was in 1.6, where damage was king. You had a lot of Sorks running up and down Cyrodiil, just blowing shit up, and you had a lot of Nightblades. Just one in cap changed the game, and you saw these roly-poly players just they knew they had the damage, so they would just build for sustain so they can dodge roll as much as they can. And that's why they nerfed dodge rolling for these same exact players who are now railing about playstyle and railing about the fact that the game is not conducive to their myopic, right, their very narrow-minded way of thinking. The game allows players to play in different kind of ways, but they want to go back to 1.6. 1.6 is the glory day, and when you want to go back to the past, that says a lot about the fact that you've not adapted, you've not you've not moved on, you've not gotten to the point where you've gotten better. Like me 2 years or 3 years ago compared to the person I am now is infinitely different. I know so much about the game. I know so much about the different play styles. I know so much about the different classes. I know so much about just, the thing that players can't do currently, which is using line of sight, because they don't have enough survivability to use line of sight, which is using your terrain to your advantage. They don't have enough sustain to even get to that point, right? And I'm free to pretty much post whatever I want, because players understand what they get from me is reality. The real situation in Cyrodiil. They do not get this false sense of what's going on. Like this fight that I had with Mr. Smokin. I lost the fight. Does that mean all of a sudden now I'm done and I'm gonna try to find some way to justify why he should have lost? Absolutely not. That's not how I am. I want players to understand that this game is not in a terrible place. This game has issues, and the major issues this game has, it comes from the server side. It doesn't come from the player side. It comes from the server side. It comes from the issues with lag. It comes from the fact that when you log in, you have to log in like 3 or 4 times just to be able to switch bars. It comes from the fact that some skills just don't activate. It comes from the fact that you might use a skill thinking it's happening, and then 2 seconds later you're switching bars or you're dodge rolling when you shouldn't even be dodge rolling, right? Those are the issues that should be addressed. Those are the issues that should be placed at the front of the line, and not 60k health tanks. Leave them alone. And not healers. Like, for some reason players now believe healers. Like, look, I know I run into healers all the time, and are they difficult and just stressful to deal with? Absolutely. But does that mean I completely eliminate them? No. I don't want to eliminate any playstyle in this game. As much as I despise the soulless snipers, I don't want to do anything about them. I want to be able, I see that shit as a challenge. Like, yo, all right, so you're over there sniping me. Every time I see you, I will focus you. And that's my way of just getting around the reality of this game, and that is I'm playing a play style and in a type of way that's not conducive to this game, and I have to understand the consequences. And the same thing goes with players who are just very narrow-minded. They want a 1vx. For some reason, 1vxing now is the creme de la creme, or I don't know, I forget how they say that statement. That saying, it's like the best thing, when in fact I think the wonderful thing about this game is the fact that it still allows you to be diversified. It still allows you to have variant, play styles, and you play any which way you want to. But if you were to listen to these players, that is not the case. Cyrodiil is not in a good place, and I honestly think it is. I think Cyrodiil is in a good place. Are there areas where things need to be adjusted? Absolutely. But is it to the point where if you were to listen to these players who no longer play the game, or players who are just, making these opinions because of notoriety. They just want to be known. I say shit because, I don't want to be known. I don't care about being known in ESO. I just care about my skill and getting better and having fun and not being bored. Anyway, it's the one only Despotic. Deuces.